Okay, so in lesson 8, we're going to talk about text. So what is a text style? Basically, it is the properties associated with the text. So for example, a font type, size, font style, and their position relative to the staff or the page. In lesson 1, we briefly talked about word menus, and you can find word menus under the File tab, Preferences, and then right here under Word Menus. And you can see based on the type of words or text that you can have numerous words associated or available. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute, but that's where your word menus are found. Just like when we talked about lines in the last lesson, there are two different types of text styles. There are staff texts, which usually appear in parts, and then there are system texts, which usually appear in the whole score and affect every part. And then going to text, and you can see here, everything above this line right here is a staff text: expression, technique, lyrics, and other staff texts. Below this line, all of these things are system texts, and you can see here all the other system texts are available as well. And then there's a blank text and special text. So this legacy menu you can find by right-clicking in Sibelius, shows you the difference between system text and staff text. Both system text and staff text have shortcuts that are associated with each. System text usually has the modifier keys Option and Command that you use when accessing a system text style. If you're working on a staff text, it's usually Command and then an associated letter. So Command for staff, Option, Command for system text. If you want to find text styles in the ribbon, it's under the Text tab and then Styles group. And you can see here it gives you a couple of options, but if you click on this disclosure triangle here, you can see all of the other options that are available for various text styles. You can also click right here on the All button and choose specifically text that you may be looking for, so techniques or common text or that type of thing. Just like with other objects in Sibelius, you can enter things two different ways. One is to load your mouse, and the second way is to make a selection first and then choose the object that you want to enter. So for example, if we want to enter an expression text, we could click on expression text, and now you can see my mouse is loaded, and then we could click on the location, and then in this case, I'm adding a mezzo forte and then escape out. So that's one way to do it. The next way would be to actually, let me delete that, click on the note and then hit expression text, then add mezzo forte. So two ways to add text styles to your document. One of the most common types of system text is tempo text. The shortcut is Option Command because that's the shortcut for most system text styles, and then T. As soon as you do that, you can see my mouse is loaded. If I click on a space, it's going to add my system text. It's going to basically add just a cursor. Now there's two things you can do with the cursor. If you want to access the word menu, you right-click right on the cursor, and then it shows you all of the words that have been entered in your word menu over here in Preferences that we just looked up at the beginning of this video. So Preferences, Word Menus. So if we look up tempo words, you can see all of the words that appear there. So if I add that again, Option Command T, and then click on it where I want to place it, right click on the flashing cursor, there's my word menu. If you want to just type in the word, you certainly can do that as well. But I find it much easier to just right click and choose the correct tempo from the options that are available here in the word menu. Now, expression text, it's important to realize that in Sibelius, expressions are another word for dynamics. So if you're looking for dynamics, you really need to come up here and add expression to your search field, and you'll see it will come up text, tabs, styles group, and text styles, and common expressions. So right over here, text and text styles, common, and there's your expression text. The shortcuts for expression texts, because it's a staff text, are Command and E. So Command and E, and that will allow you to input expression text. So again, you can enter it two different ways. Select the note, go Command E, and then you've got the flashing cursor, and you can again right-click on it, and then choose the specific expression text that you're looking for. Another alternate way to do this is to just type in your expression text. So MF is what I've typed in. Problem with that is that it doesn't give you the correct font when you do that. So the way to avoid that is holding down Command and then typing MF, and that'll give you the correct font style and whether it's italicized or bolded, that type of thing that's appropriate in this case for expression text. You may find at times that there is reason to move a specific text. Maybe it's getting in the way of something like that. The best way to deal with that is to just make sure that magnetic layout is on. If magnetic layout is on and you're still having a difficulty with a text that may be getting in the way of colliding with something else, the temptation is to click on it and drag it and move it. Problem is that sometimes we'll disassociate the expression text, in this case, with the note it's associated with. So the best way to do this is to actually click on the text itself and then use the up or down arrows or the left and right arrows to move your text around. You can also hold down Command while you do this and then use left or right arrows or up and down arrows, and because Command does more, it will move your expression text greater amounts. You may also find reason to go back in later on and change a certain text. You can do that in Sibelius easily by double-clicking on the text. And you'll see you again get that flashing cursor. You could delete it, hold down Command and maybe change the dynamic marking, or you could also right-click again on the flashing cursor and choose a different option. And this is true whether it's expression text or technique text. Okay, technique text is another type of staff text, so its associated shortcut is Command and T. And technique text is used to tell the performer the specific instrumental or vocal technique they need to use. So an example might be, pizzicato, arco, solo, mute, that type of thing. So you can load your mouse or make a selection. I'll just load my mouse and click on it, and then it gives us the flashing cursor. Again, we can right-click on that flashing cursor and choose the type of technique that we are looking for. You could also just type this in as well and then hit escape. Okay, next let's look at global editing versus local editing. When you affect or change something locally, you are essentially only affecting that one specifically selected, in this case, text. If you're doing a global change, you're affecting all of those types of texts throughout your whole document. So for example, if we want to change this specific crescendo and make it larger, we can go to the Text tab, Format Group, and then because we have this selected, we can increase the size. To get it to the size we want, we'll hit Escape, and now we've increased the size of that crescendo locally. So you can see these other crescendos or other staff texts have not changed in size. To change staff text in size globally, you need to come over here to the Text tab, Styles Group, and the Dialog Launcher button. Here you can see all the different type of text styles, and if we, for example, want to change expression text, there it is, expression text, we hit Edit, and let's say we want this to be size and score. We want to increase the size of all of the expression text. As soon as we click OK, all of these over here, crescendo, diminuendo, piano, etc., will increase in size. There you go, much larger now. So that's how you change the size globally using the dialog launcher button, and locally using the size button over here in the format group. If you edit or change the location of text or other objects in Sibelius, if you do that locally, you'll get one effect. If you do it globally, you'll get a difference. Let me show you what I mean. So for example, if I want to put a mezzo forte here and a mezzo piano here, if I do that, select the note, hit Command E, right click, and mezzo forte, and then escape out. Now if I want to move this, I'm going to highlight it and maybe move it like this down and move it to the left a little bit. So now what I've done is I've moved this dynamic or this expression text locally, not globally. So now if I come over here and I add another dynamic or expression, right click and say mezzo piano, and then escape out, you'll notice these are in two different locations. This is the global location that Sibelius is going to place its expression text, and this is the local location because we've moved it. Let's say, for example, that I want to reposition globally my text, in this case, expression text. So I can come to the Appearance tab, Design and Position Group, and click on the Dialog Launcher button, select Expression Text, since that's what we're going to alter, and then I'll choose 10. So 10 spaces is what I'm looking for. I click OK, and now every new text that I enter, you can see is much further down than the existing text. Now, if I want to reset all of the expression text to be at this new default location, I can do that by selecting everything, Command A, and then coming up here and saying, reset the position, moves all selected objects back to their default positions. Now I've changed the default position to be 10, so now all of these expression texts will default to this new global position. So that's how you move your text in Sibelius.